So let's start with the exam style question. Let's start with the first question. So the first question, write an algorithm using while and while conditions which would input 10 exam marks, and if the mark was greater than 40, the output would be you have passed. If it was not, then the output would be you have not reached the pass marks. That's a very easy with two conditions, and there is a while and condition or loop. Okay, so what we're going to do, first of all, whenever there is a loop, we're going to use a count. This is what going to run our loop by counting, incrementing till specific condition. In while and while, we start with the condition in while in the beginning. Okay, so while, so first we initialize a count which will equal to 0, and while will be up to 10 because they said 10. Okay, so it's going to start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 till 9, and if it is as it reaches to 10, it's going to stop. So after that, we're going to input the mark, what marks we're going to input each time. Okay, so you can see all of those points that I am right now going to do them over here. They're all inside the while loop. So we're going to put the mark, and then if the mark is more greater than 40, okay, then just simply put the message you have passed, and it is between double quotation because it is a specific message. Else, otherwise, of course, it's going to be less, then put another message, which is you do not have reached the pass mark. And the if with the same level, notice that the two conditions are inside indentations of if, and then end the if, and finally you're going to put the counter. Putting the counter is very important. If you didn't put it, the loop is not going to move. It will be like forever looping, or it will just stop. So you need to always increase the loop by 1. So after that, in this case it was 0, and then you put, for example, 20. So 20 is going to choose this message. After that, the count got increased by 1. It's going to check again, is it 1? Is it less than 10? Yes. Okay, so it will keep increasing till it reached to 10. Then at that time it's going to end up, and all the messages will be printed. Those 10 marks will be inputted and their messages will be outputted. Okay, that's for the first question. Let's go for question. Oh wait, I put one thing here. Let's convert this while and while into a repeat until loop. Let's see how it will be different. On the left side you can see I have already put it, whatever was in the previously we did it. It's while and while. In repeat until, because the question can be anything. It could be like in while and while, or it could be in repeat until. So in case they ask you in repeat until, it's very easy adjustment. Same count or incrementer. So we're going to start with repeat. Notice in repeat we do not put any condition. In here we put a condition. Here there is no condition at all. Okay, put the same thing, mark, and if the mark is more than 40, put the message, else it will be the message. Okay, and if, and put the increment of the loop. Just at the end we're going to put one condition in until part. Okay, in here we didn't put it, we just put it in the beginning. So here we didn't put it, we're going to put it only at the end, and it's going to reach until 10 because this is going to count it only at the end. So first time the count will be 0, we're going to insert the first mark, then it will increase. Is it 10? No, not yet. It will keep increasing till it reaches to 10, then it's going to, at 10 it's going to stop. Okay, so that's going to work exactly the same with some minor differences, but the whole function is going to be the same. So that's for the first question. Let's go for the question number 2. Write an algorithm using a repeat until loop which would input 5 numbers. So in this case we're going to input 5 numbers and output the largest number between those 5 numbers. So let's say I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the largest? Is number 5. So it's going to do it by using repeat until. To do so, we're going to set up first the count. So the first count is going to be 0, and we're going to use also one more variable, which is the largest, to store the largest number. Also initialize it and make it equal to 0. So we have 2 variables over here. Let's start with repeat. As I mentioned, repeat do not have any condition here. Condition will come only at the end in until. So let's go step by step. So repeat, input the first number. If that number is larger than the largest number. Let's assume we put 10. Let me change the color. Let's assume we put 10 this time. So is 10 larger than 0? Of course. Okay, then what to do? Take that number, which is 10, and put it into the largest variable. Okay, and NF and go and count and increase 1 for the counter. So right now count become 1. It was 0. So here it will check, is the count equal to 5? Not yet, because we need 5 numbers. Okay, so it's going to repeat it again, input the number again, put another number. So previously we put 10. Let's put it at this time 20. So the number is going to check. So it's going to check, is that number 20 larger than 10? Because the last thing was stored here is 10. So is 20 larger than 10? Yes. So take that 20, which is right now inside here, and store it into the largest 20. Okay, and then the counter will increase, will become 2. Is the count still equal to 5? Not yet, still 2. So we're going to go and put another number, and this time let's put number 3. Okay, it's just 5 numbers, 5 random numbers, 3. So let's put 3. So 3, is 3 larger than 20? Because it was stored last time, it was stored 20. Is 3 larger than 20? If it is yes, then take that 3. If it is yes, then put it into, but in this our case it's not, so it's not going to go into this condition. Okay, so it's not true, so it's going to jump out of it, and it's going to increase again 3, and so on till it reaches to 4 and 5. It will stop, and it will finally go and print that number. Okay, so in our case, let's say we put 1, and then we put 2. What was the largest number? 20. So 20 is still stored here, so it will print 20 in this case. Okay, so that's for this question. Again, I'm going to turn it into while and while. There will be a very simple modification. You should know what would be. So you can see in repeat here I didn't have a condition, so here I put the condition. It should be less than 5. If I put it equal to 5, then it's going to stop. So I better put it over here, less than 5. And everything is the same. And the last thing here, I just removed the condition and I put it to the top. That's it. It's pretty simple. Let's go for the next question. Question number 3, draw a flowchart which will allow the average of 6 numbers to be calculated. To put 6 numbers, and it's going to give us the calculation or the average of those 6 numbers. So let's start first with the start, and then it's going to put the counter. This is usually for inputting the numbers, so we're going to set up or initiate count, and we're going to start to put the first number. So it's going to take that first number, plus it with the total, and store it inside the total. So it can start to put all the 6 numbers inside total. Is the count equal to 6? Not yet. If not yet, then it will go put the next number, sum it and put it into the total. Again, loop till 6 times till it's equal to 6 numbers we put it. If it is yes, then take that number, divide it with the count, how many times, which is 6 times, right? It reach up to 6, yes. And then we're going to get the average. That's it. Print the average, and that's our answer. So for question number 3, draw a flowchart which will allow the average of 6 numbers to be calculated. So we're going to enter 6 numbers, and it's going to calculate the average of those 6 numbers. So we just need a flowchart, but I'm going to show you the algorithm as well. So for the flowchart, start, and then we're going to put 3 variables. You can start first with 1 variable, whatever comes to your mind. Keep the triangle quite large so you can put enough variables. And then what number we're going to put. So I put here the counter, I put the total, which we're going to put all of it, all the numbers that's summing, and then the average at the end, we will need it later. And then we're going to process to input the number. So we're inputting the number after that. Sorry, this is a process, this is input output. Okay, so the process, we're going to initialize those 3 variables, input the number right now, and then take that number, sum it with the total. Right now it is 0, the total, so the answer will be just whatever number added plus with that total 0, it will be added over here. The counter will increase by 1, and then it will ask, is the count equal to 6? Because we're needing 6 numbers. Not yet. So not yet, the next number needs to be inputted, and so on till the 6 numbers inputted, till up to 6 numbers. Then it's going to take that total number divided with the count 6, and it's going to give us the average. Finally, we need to print the average, and that's the end of the flowchart. To show it in algorithm, we're going to summarize those 3. We're going to initialize those 3 variables, and then let's start with the input. So repeat will start right now. You can see repeat is with this thing, it is a repeat. Okay, so input the number, and then total and the count will be here mentioned. After that, end it with a condition, because until will have the condition. Finally, the last thing after that, the average, which is total divided by count, and print the average. Okay, one more thing, let's convert it into while and end while. That's going to be very simple. So see over here first, the algorithm, it's just going to change. Instead of the condition at the end, it's going to be only here at the top. So it's going to be over here, count less than 6. Okay, so it's going to change a bit. So initialization over here, then count, is it less than 6? If it is no, then it's going to print and do whatever we need. If it is yes, then if it is yes, then it's going to end. If it is not, then it's going still to keep putting the numbers till we're going to get the total, inputting the number, getting the total, and as it finished more than 6, it will become, or 6, we're going to get the average by dividing, printing the average, and that's the end of the flowchart. So for question number 4, a student wants to output the 10 multiplication times table. That's 10 multiplied by 1, 10 multiplied by 2, 20, and so on. So up to a certain number, okay, which will be input at the start. So we're going to input, for example, 2, and it should multiply up to 2 or 3 or whatever the program is writing. Okay, so the student wishes to make sure that an invalid number is not input. Okay, identify the errors in this algorithm and suggest improvements. So let's look at this example. We can see that the count is initialized to 0. Okay, and there is a while loop, so it is initializing, starting the condition to putting it with 0, which is not making sense. I'm going to tell you why. Because the count will not increase, and it will be stuck always to 0, and it is going to be an infinite loop. And then okay, so seems there is an error over here. Input a number, okay, and let's assume we're inputting 3, for example. If the number, let's say 3, it is less than 1, so this is not going to match with this condition. Then so okay, if it is 0, then 0 less than 1, it's matching, and it is telling us it's invalid, so it's correct. But if it is 3, where is the condition if it is less, if it is not less than 1? So there should be another else over here, so that part is missing. This is the second part that is missing. Okay, that's related with the first loop. Second loop, there's the same count, which is, let's say right now still 0, still didn't got incremented. Okay, so there should be also an increment that should increment the count. Okay, so this supposed to be at least less than, and this supposed to be, there's supposed to be an increment. Let's go for the next loop. Next loop saying count, so it is, let's think of that way, so it is correct. So print count, which is 0 multiplied by 10. This will appear as it is, which is multiplied 10 equal to, and then 0 multiplied by 10, this will give us 0. So it's just going to give us only this result. We need it to be a 10 multiplication times table, but there is an error over here. So let's fix it. So roughly I mentioned to you what things we need to do it here. So there is supposed to be at least another counter here to increase the count. So let's try to have a look at the issues. That's the first issue, and else and if are missing over here, and the last thing is the count or the counter or the increment. So that's the same one. So let's try to solve it. So this is the solved one. You can see the initialization is correct. The count at least should be less than 1. Okay, and the input, let's imagine we input over here 2. Okay, so if 2 is less than 1, is it less than 1? No. So in case only if it is 0, it will show to you it's invalid. Else, which is right now matching with my this condition, it is 2, it is not less than 2, so it's going to increment, it's going to increase. So count is initialized as 0, so it's going to be right now become 1. Okay, that's the first loop, and then as it increase, it's going to take us out of this loop because 1 won't be less than 1. Okay, so we got right now count as 1. Okay, this is what we got it from the first loop. Let's go to the second loop. It's saying that count 1 less than 2, right? We input a number 2 over here. So is 1 less than 2? So let's see. So this is going to be 1 printed out. This is going to be like this, written as it is because it is between double quotation. And let's multiply right now 1 multiplied by 10. It's going to be 10. So it's going to write it like that. So the increment will increase the count to become 2. And let's go back again to the same loop. Is 2 less than 2? Not anymore. So it's going to end the loop, and we're going to get only the first 1 multiplied by 10, which is 10. So it depends on the number you're putting. If we put 2, it's going to give us up to 1. If we put 3, it's going to give it 2 multiplied by 10 equal to 20, and so on. The more numbers you put or increase here, so if you put 5, it will multiply it up to 4, and so on. So this is basically this for this question. I have did this in Python. You don't need to do it in Python. I just try to do it by myself just to show you. So I converted into a count, and then I put the first loop, and if we input 0, it's supposed to show us invalid. As you can see here, I put 0 and it gave me invalid. And then else it will increment it, and then we will go to this loop and it will multiply. Let's try it. I will show you. Let's try to put 0. It will show me that it's invalid, which is working. The code is working. Let's try to put 2 like I did previously in the code. So can you see it's just giving me the first timetable. Let's try to put, for example, 7. It's going to give me the multiplication table of 10 till up to 6. So I hope you got the idea. Let's move to the next question. So for the last question, question number 5, it states that this flowchart inputs an examination mark and then outputs an appropriate message. If the mark is 80 or more than 80, the message is distinction, and if it is 860 or more, it is merit, and if it is 40 or more, it is pass, otherwise it is fail. You can see here there is a flowchart, so we need to identify the errors in this flowchart and suggest an correction for it. So there will be different ways that you can correct it, you can produce it. There are multiple ways. I'm going to show you 2 ways that we can correct it. First of all, look here at start, input the score, and then they're saying if the mark is less than or equal to 80. The question is more than 80 or more than. So okay, if it is less than, if it is no, so the person got less than 80, he's not, then if it is less than 80, if it is no, it's going to get a distinction. And if it is yes, then it's going to take us to another option. That doesn't make sense. So there is something needs to be corrected. So the first correction is the mark needs to be less than 80. Okay, if it is no, then it will print the distinction. And if it is yes, then take us to less than 60. Why I remove the equal? Because it's not more than or equal. So it is less than. So if the score is 80, so it needs to be a distinction. Okay, so if it is 80, it shouldn't go to the next one. Okay, it needs to go to the distinction. Okay, So I need 80 to be in the distinction. Okay, so right now 80 is not part of it anymore. So if it is less than 80, it will go to the next one. So it should be less than 60, because 60 also should be 60 or more, it should be a merit. 40 or more, it should be a fail, or sorry, distinction, merit, and yeah, fail. Okay, and then the last thing, if it is less than 40, it will be fail, and if it is no, then it will be a pass. So this is very clear right now. This is one way of correction. That's the first version. The second version, we can change the arrows of yes and no. That will be much easier. So what I did, I made it more than and equal to 80. This is a simpler one. If it is yes, it will give us a distinction. If it is no, that means it is less. Is it 60 or more than 60? If it is yes, it will take us to merit. Not less than that, it will. If it is more than 40 or equal, then that's going to be a pass, and if it is not, then it's going to be a fail. So those are different edited versions. That's the end of this exam style question. All the best in your exams.